Hello everyone and welcome to TYT Sports on this Friday morning. Steve O, Heather Ankeny, and Cenk Uygur. Pleasure to see you once again. We were actually going to make the joke about your empty chair and say that you were sitting in it because you were a little late today. But thank you regardless for joining us. So we are going to start with your 4 games that you picked. No surprise, the best games of yesterday. San Francisco beat the Seattle Seahawks. They were, I believe, 1-4 against winning teams with winning records this year. And they beat Seattle. There was a report that I read, or an article that I read, that Russell Wilson could arguably make his mark for being in the MVP talk.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Of course I agree with that. Who wouldn't agree with that? They're the best team in the NFL, and he's their quarterback, and he does a phenomenal job.
So there's no way whatsoever, obviously there is, but with you, Peyton Manning should win it, but Russell Wilson should be in the category, or Russell Wilson should win it?
No, probably the first. Probably Peyton Manning should win it, but Russell Wilson should definitely be in the top 5 or so.
Russell Wilson more than I do.
Yes, we know. Gone on record.
Massive fanboy of Russell Wilson. He should be in the consideration, but he doesn't know. I would put Manning ahead of him, and I would also put Cam Newton ahead of him as well. Cam's having a great season. Russell Wilson is in an ideal situation there, and he's growing by leaps and bounds. He's a really smart quarterback, which I love about him. But he has a great running game, a dominating defense, and a crazy home field advantage. So he's got a lot of things in his favor. That being said, he's making the most of it, so good for him. I would, as of right now, if I were to vote, I would put Manning number 1, Cam number 2, and Russell number 3.
Okay, interesting. Now,
really, Cam number 2.
All of you guys, or excuse me, you did a few weeks ago. He asked the question, Colin Kaepernick or Russell Wilson. If you look at their stat line, they were
identically
very, very, very similar. Russell Wilson, 15 of 25, 199, a touchdown and interception. Colin Kaepernick, 15 of 29, 175, a touchdown and an interception.
Although the interceptions were not equal.
How so?
Yeah, Kaepernick's was more damaging. They were near the goal line. They definitely would have had a field goal. That was a bit of a devastating interception.
You can't say it, can you?
Yeah.
Field goal. Field goal.
Field goal.
Apparently, I say some words wrong, and I have no idea. Until this very second, I had no idea I was saying field goal wrong.
No, we did this a few weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So here's some counterintuitive things from me that you wouldn't necessarily expect if you were following my sports commentary. Number 1, on the MVP conversation, we got to end it. It's Manning. Because Russell Wilson's defense is phenomenal. KC defense is great. Carolina defense is great. Manning's defense is not great. He puts up 51 points on average anyway. Yeah. And I hate Manning, but he's got to be the MVP this year.
Close. Yeah.
Right. Okay, now on to Wilson versus Kaepernick. I love Kaepernick. Wilson is definitely better at this point. Definitely. Okay. Kaepernick, he won the game. They were at home. They played pretty well. But Kaepernick didn't play that well.
He did not play well.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he looks rattled and a little bit scared. A little bit scared.
He does. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And he might turn it around, and he might be as good as I thought he might be in the beginning of the season. But right now, if you told me Russell Wilson or Kaepernick in an important game, I'm taking Russell Wilson.
Is it because
even in that loss, I thought Russell Wilson looked better than Kaepernick.
Is it because they're trying to make him into a quarterback that he's not? Is it because they're trying to make him, stay in the pocket, try to make those deep throws if you can?
As I suspect, the good news for 49ers fans is, as I suspected, finally, because Harbaugh's a great coach, has realized, hey, I should use him as a dual threat, because he is. So he's running more. That's good. So they're not just keeping him in the pocket. It's what Steve said. At times, he looks rattled. He's a great passer. He's a great runner. He should just go and do it confidently.
Well, I believe that, and I think I've said this before, that the best quarterbacks are the ones that are good between the ears, that make good decisions. And I think that Russell Wilson just right now makes better in the moment decisions than Colin Kaepernick.
Totally.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, it's not even close. I think it's way better. I don't know if you guys watched the game, but that final drive that the Niners had, Frank Gore rips off a big run. And then they're milking the clock, which I can't stand when they do that. But anyway, they milked the clock effectively. And then there was a big 3rd down play, like a 3rd and 7-ish, and Kaepernick got it. They rolled him to the left, and he found a seam, and he ran it. But even though he got it, he didn't look like he was attacking. He looked a little bit surprised he even got it, and he got up and he was excited about it. But something, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing something that wasn't there, but I felt on that play that he didn't believe in himself. That he was surprised he got it.
Look,
I was a little bit bummed out about that because I love Kaepernick. I want him to do well.
Yeah, we might both be making up, Steve, but I see the same exact thing. In both times they played Seattle, Kaepernick looked so nervous.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised by it. That's part of the reason I hate Manning, because of how he gets happy feet in the playoffs. And I love Kaepernick, and that's why it was so disappointing. But I see it clear as day.
And then, of course, Phil Dawson kicked the field goal for San Francisco to win. Why exactly is Colin Kaepernick rattled? What goes into that? I mean, look, we're not the coaches. We're not inside his head, but we could think of these things. I mean, what exactly goes into it?
It's random. It's totally random. Some people get rattled easily.
Yeah, look, I get rattled sometimes in sports. It happens, right? And I'm not playing against the Seattle defense. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe what's rattling him is those guys are so fast, he doesn't know where they're coming from, whether it's a pass rush or when he's throwing into the secondary. He throws it confidently in the beginning, like maybe at the very beginning of the first Seattle game, and they swoop in and get it, and then he loses his nerve. He's like, Jesus, where are they? I can't see him. Maybe that's what it is.
Seattle has to wait another week, by the way, to clinch the NFC West. The remaining schedule at the Giants, against Arizona, against St. Louis. San Francisco, by the way, who are obviously going to be in the playoffs, it appears. At Tampa Bay, against Atlanta, at Arizona. So Seattle, you think they clinch it next week?
They went out.
I think Seattle clinches.
Yeah.
I think San Francisco goes to the playoffs. I think that last game San Francisco has against Arizona is critical. It might be critical to whether Arizona makes the playoffs. It might be critical as to what kind of home field San Francisco has. So, and Arizona now is a really good team. So I would watch out for Arizona. And so that's a critical game. And then finally on the Seattle-San Francisco game, I got to make two important notes here.
Yes.
One, Gore, and it was driving me crazy that the announcers weren't making this point. Gore fell down on purpose.
Yes.
Right? And to run the clock out.
Yes.
Which is such a smart veteran play, right?
I saw that
because they had
too. caught
him. And so, and he did that, and that took off about 3 minutes off the clock and led to the victory.
Yeah.
And the announcers are like, oh, is he hurt? He came up limping. I'm like, no, you idiots.
no.
And if he got hurt, he got hurt trying to do the right thing, which is to land
So if anything,
inbound.
he should be your Turk of the Week. That's what you're saying.
In fact, hold.